This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly entertainment podcast. For this week, we are reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man and Magic Mike, looking at upcoming releases, including Ice Age, Continental Drift. The From the Outside In topic this week, what are our most annoying film cliches? We're going to talk about the latest in movie and TV news, our own trivia and flashback DVD segments, and this week, our Stump the Hoe and What's This Movie trivia was actually chosen by listeners, so that'll be interesting. You can always subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or anywhere else you can find an RSS feed. With that, I am your host, Darren Peterson. With me today are my fellow host, Brian Williams.
Good evening.
Hello. Justin McCumber.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. And Scott Clark.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Not much. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's holiday?
Uneventful.
Didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty much across the board there.
So this is the lamest podcast we could possibly have. Let's just talk about our lame day. We
I went and saw some spider movie.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty popular. Pretty popular. So really, that's the only excitement we've had.
And fireworks.
Well, the country's too damn hot and dry to have done too much.
Yeah, it was 100 degrees the last 3 days here. 100. For triple
I'll
digits.
tell you something I learned today.
Boy, is this going to be a Texas story?
No. So I'm reading this book, and in the opening of it, there's a bull shark. And I know I have read about them before, but I really couldn't remember like how big or whatnot. So I look up bull sharks. In the Wikipedia entry for it, it says that they can swim in both salt water and fresh water.
True.
And they have been found as high up as like the Ohio River. Fucking sharks can be in our rivers. I am never getting off a boat again. Ever.
You have a shark phobia there, Justin?
I don't go swimming in the ocean because I know there's shit in it that could eat me with not even breaking stride. You at least think in a river or a lake, barring ancient piranha infestation, you're probably going to be all right. No, you can't. You're not even guaranteed that.
All right, random fact for the day from Justin McCumber, ladies and gentlemen.
Be sure to tune into Justin's podcast, Shark Week.
That's right. God. Hey, well, I guess it does kind of tie in because in Shark Week starting up, there you go.
There you go.
Let's just jump right into movie news. Marvel is moving ahead with plans to bring Guardians of the Galaxy to the big screen, which they tentatively have scheduled for August 1st, 2014.
Yeah, have any of you guys heard of these?
I don't think anybody's heard of them. No. I mean,
only when that news article came out.
Yeah, they're pretty an obscure superhero team. Basically, each one of the members are an individual who's one of the last survivors of their own respective races in our solar system or galaxy or something like that. And so they travel from the 31st century. They travel back to our time to fight some bad guys and save their planets. This is all, like I said, these are all pretty obscure characters. And I kind of had to scratch my head to say, why out of the whole Marvel universe are you picking these guys to make a movie about? Then I looked a little deeper. They've recently, I guess 2008, they rebooted the team and the series and everything. So they're making the movie off of, I guess, this group. Mm-hmm. So
does it make it any more exciting?
They do have tie-ins with some of the alien races and also Thanos. So there are tie-ins with that section of the universe that's already been created, in these Marvel movies. Apparently, the guys at Marvel have a pretty big plan, a very large picture in store for us.
This seems like a very chancy, dicey chance on their part.
With the reach.
Well, when you've got one of the main characters, his name is Rocket Raccoon. Yeah.
It's just they're not familiar at all. So I don't know anybody. I've asked a lot of my friends that I would consider geeks, and very, very few of them even know who it is. Because it's a very unknown comic. It's very much like a cult comic almost, to where even comic book geeks not many of them know about it. Is this really something you want to sink $150-200 million into?
Yeah, I mean, I recognize two of the characters just from their solo ventures mainly, mm-hmm. and that's really about it. I guess during my main comic book days, they had kind of already run their course and had kind of become just background characters that would pop up maybe in one issue of a maybe like Fantastic Four or the Avengers or something, and then go on their way. So. I'm curious. I'm not really excited about this, but I'm curious to see how this piece fits in the larger puzzle.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Okay, Gina Malone of Sucker Punch was offered the part of Joanna Mason in the Hunger Games sequel Catching Fire.
Yeah, the character she's going to be playing, Joanna Mason, she's in the second and the third book. To avoid spoiling anything, I really can't talk much about what her character is going to be doing. But from the description that the character was given in the books, of having, being slender, wiry, spiky hair, she looks a lot like the character. And given what that character is going to be doing in the story, I'm curious to see what she does with it. I like Jenna Malone. I liked her in Sucker Punch, so I'm pretty sure I'll probably like her in this one too. But she does seem to fit it physically. We'll just see if she can carry the role off and keep that franchise rolling strong. But I think she'll do it just fine.
The thing that makes me nervous about when they put someone like Jenna Malone in a character like this is she's not like a household name or anything like that, but she's definitely more recognizable than any of the other people that played the tributes in the first film. And to me, and again, I'm trying to avoid any kind of spoiler thing with the story as well. When you put somebody in there that you recognize, you immediately think that this character is more important than anybody else, kind of. And I mean, not that that's really spoiling anything, but it always just kind of bugs me a little bit.
But she's not really recognizable, man, to the large portion of the world.
Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe I've just seen her in more things, but I'm with Justin. I think she looks a lot of what I had pictures in my head as I read the books. But the character seems a little out of her normal characters that she plays in other films. So like Justin said, pretty much exactly what he said. I'm interested to see how she carries the part itself, but looks wise, spot on for me.
I can't spoil it because I have no idea. I didn't read the books. It seems to be catching a lot of buzz on the internets. So this must be a beloved character. Am I assuming right?
She's a pretty cool character. It's pretty pivotal stuff.
All right. Well, we'll just see what happens. I think it's pretty cool they're moving so fast on this. And I meant to say that sarcastically because I think after the juggernaut that the first movie was, I would think that they'd want to get it right. But they're going to Twilight this shit and just bam them out, apparently. That's what it sounds like. So
Twilight. I thought you guys said the Twilight movies got better as they went through the series.
I never said that.
Or Brian.
I'm just saying that they just hammered them out. They don't really take the time to make them quality. They just get them out the door.
Well, there's only 3 as opposed to 6 or 4.5.
4.5 Twilight books. Well, we'll see. Well, MGM is suing boxer Jake LaMotta and the producers of his new film Raging Bull 2. The suit is stating that MGM retains the rights to any sequel, and they should have had the offer of the script first, so they want the movie stopped.
These kind of stories always just bum me out. I mean, you guys know me. I hate politics, and I just like to see the movies and see movies that I want to see. I don't know.
You just want to live in you're just
in my happy little bubble where people don't get angry at each other and
you don't want to see the man behind the curtain. You just want to hang out in the house.
Yeah. I don't know.
Scott likes flying monkeys.
What?
Who doesn't? Yeah, but you'd think it would be kind of an open and shut legal case. There has to be a document somewhere that says who owns what rights. But the way the copyright laws are these days, it is just so labyrinthian. Who knows what's going to go on with it?
Yeah, I mean, and they said the main reason they're suing is that it actually is the movie is so bad that it actually devalues the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I mean, my thing is the guy is over 90 years old. I honestly thought he's been dead for decades. I didn't realize he was still alive. But, just let him make the shitty B movie. I guess it's going straight to video anyway. I mean, because nobody's going to watch it.
In fact, won't that make them watch the original instead, maybe? People get...
I mean, I think the only reason that you're going to see that movie is if you really love the first one and you just want to see what's next. I think most people will probably realize it's going to be a pretty bad movie going into it, but
there's zero reason to make this movie.
Exactly.
Except to cash in. Nobody's going to go see it. Movies that are made 30 years after the original and they slap a 2 on it very, very rarely ever make any money. I don't know why they're doing it. Obviously, they just seemed like a good idea at the time. But MGM's, I think, perfectly within their rights to shut this down.
And he made it. I mean, he paid for it himself, apparently. So it's not like he got Paramount or Disney or whoever to back him. It's paid for out of pocket, so you can know that you got a pretty good idea of what the quality should be like.
Have we read? I haven't read about what kind of budget this film has had. I mean,
No, I didn't see that.
No, I didn't see an actual number, but I mean, LaMotta's he's been doing the autograph circuit for quite a while now. So he's probably doesn't have a whole lot of money to spend on movies. I'll put it that way.
It's probably fitting on a Visa card.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on some sad news, we lost a couple of famous ones in the last couple of weeks. Actually, last week, director Nora Ephron, who made all those sappy romantic comedies with Tom Hanks and whatnot, and Andy Griffith are both half gone to Mayberry Way.
Yeah, we don't usually do the Hollywood obituary segment of this show, but last week when Nora Ephron died, I meant to mention it during the show, but it happened the same day and so many other things came up. I completely spaced on it, but as soon as we were done, I was texting Aaron and said, I cannot believe we forgot to bring this up. So I want to make sure and bring it up this week. And of course, then right after that, Andy Griffith also died. So we thought we'd take a moment and just mention these two. I mean, Andy Griffith died at the age of 86. The man was a legend. You know, he spent most of the 60s doing the Andy Griffith Show. People of several generations love that show. He came back in the late 80s to the mid 90s with Matlock. The guy was given a damn Presidential Medal of Freedom back in 2005. He's, just kind of a staple of Hollywood. He's been around for forever, and, it's a sad day. Mm-hmm. And, I'll miss him and wish him that he gets to rest in peace. Nora Ephron, though, was the one that I really felt more. She's primarily known as a writer. She's also directed. She's also written plays and novels. But the work of hers that really affected me the most, and there's two of them, but one in particular, we've talked about it before, but she wrote When Harry Met Sally. And for me, that is the quintessential romantic comedy. It's my favorite romantic comedy ever done. Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, phenomenal in it, but it's really the dialogue that they're delivering that makes that movie. And she wrote it back in 1989. It was put out. Fantastic film. For a long time, I think I watched it once a week when I was, just didn't have anybody in my life and I needed a little romance. There's something. Wow. But I watched it a lot. I loved it. She followed it up with Sleepless in Seattle, which wasn't as good as When Harry Met Sally, but it still was entertaining. Again, Meg Ryan. I think Meg Ryan really is the best romantic comedy actress that's ever been on screen. This one with Tom Hanks, and then they followed that up with You've Got Mail, which was really kind of a diminishing return. But When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, both of them fantastic films and films that I will go back to again and again. So rest in peace, Nora Ephron. You made great movies.
They're both very well known, very respected. So we're going to miss him. I was a huge fan of Andy Griffith. Nora Ephron, he's right. When Harry Met Sally is probably my favorite romantic comedy, just because they made it about the dialogue, not about some stupid ass situation, blah 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 blah. She made it. She made it very real. And Andy Griffith, I love Andy Griffith. I don't care what anybody says. Mayberry, I love Mayberry, or the Andy Griffith Show, I should say.
There's a lot of Matlock.
Netflix CEO Reed Hastings announced that in June, the movie and TV rental giant's customers streamed over I gotta put my pinky up, 1 billion hours of entertainment. 1 billion.
That's a lot of hours of entertainment. If anything else, I think this kind of clues us into the upcoming digital media that's going to become. I know we've talked about how long it's going to be before no more discs, no more physical media. I mean, look at that's a lot of entertainment to be watching without just streaming it.
That's 1 billion. Hang on, that's $1 billion hours dollars.
Yeah, you couldn't do it without saying it.
Couldn't do it.
I mean, doesn't that just go to show that people would rather stream it?
Then what? Buy it?
Then get a physical disc and put it in their DVD player.
I don't know if it shows that. I think it shows that you pay $8 and you can watch whatever they have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it doesn't cost anything extra.
Plus, we're not seeing the comparison number of how many trillion hours are spent watching the actual DVDs and physical copies. But compared to over the past 5 years.
Until they get little cameras in my house, I don't think they'll be able to figure that out.
Yeah, what do you think that Kinect is for?
Oh, yeah. Shit. Damn you, Microsoft.
Gotta unplug that thing.
Genius. I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool statistic. I mean, I watch Netflix Instant quite often. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't surprise me. Everybody I know has an account. Well, most people that I know have an account. Some people are boycotting it because, not giving the man $8 is going to hurt him or something. I don't know.
How's the library? Is it getting better? The digital
Their library or any library?
No, the library on net. Yeah, the downtown
What are we
library?
talking about, Aaron?
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Netflix, bitch.
Are there still libraries? No.
Their catalog. Does that word work better for you?
Yeah, I can understand. Actually, I don't know, man. It's about the same as it has been. I don't think it's really gotten any better. Mm-hmm. It's the same stuff that's been on there. I mean, the shows that are on there, it's the newer episodes, but I haven't seen anything really new on there recently.
So you primarily watch it for television shows, not movies, or?
It's mostly because they don't have many movies on there that I want to watch. I mean, most of their movies are old movies. They don't have anything real current, except for the crap that nobody would buy.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to have like Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows on Netflix Instant yet.
Right.
But they might have Young Sherlock Holmes from 1986. They might have that one.
Yeah.
So
They've got the TV series with Benedict Cumberbatch.
don't miss a beat, baby.
Nope.
Okay, well, it is official. Mad Max Fury Road, with Tom Hardy taking the reins from Mel Gibson as Mad Max, has finally and officially begun filming. The movie has gone back and forth. It was going to get made. It wasn't going to get made. It is finally going to get made. It's apparently taking place after the events of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, like anybody remembers what the hell those events were. And Max is going to be escorting, apparently, what's known as the Five Wives to some particular locale.
I think this is awesome.
Yeah?
I love the Mad Max movies, and I think Tom Hardy is just about the perfect guy to take over, kind of take the helm, so to speak. So this is, to me personally, this is great news. I love it.
I'm just happy they're finally going with it. And I guess Charlize Theron's in it. She's going to be in it. So there's some quality actors in it.
And Tom Hardy, he plays
Dark Knight
Bane,
Rises,
right?
yeah.
Before that, he was a pretty muscular guy, but apparently he put on like 30 pounds of muscle in a month for that film.
In 1 month?
That's what I read.
That's a lot of chicken breast, brother.
Yeah.
That's some
For what
steroids.
movie?
That's some steroids.
He put on that muscle for Batman or for Mad Max?
For Batman, have you seen him in Batman?
Yeah, no, I
He's
thought you were saying he was
freaking
adding
huge.
on even more weight.
No. I'm saying
Okay.
he's put on a lot of muscle, so like it's just it's good casting is what I'm saying. I think it's going to be awesome to see because that dude is, like I said, was freaking ripped already.
Yeah, but
And-
Mad Max wasn't really known as a ripped guy.
He was
He
pretty
was
lean
just
and
a
mean.
survivor.
That's true.
Yeah, but
Mel
Tom
Gibson
Hardy,
was a big dude.
yeah, but I mean, Tom Hardy is kind of I think, just generally speaking, kind of a smaller guy.
Could be. I mean, I would have
so-
hired Renner myself.
Oh,
But,
can we get him in more movies?
Who wouldn't?
right.
Really? It's
Literally,
a gift.
who wouldn't?
I'm surprised though they're continuing on the Mad Max storyline as opposed to rebooting it. Because you're right. I mean, who's going to remember Thunderdome? I think you're going to see every movie streaming service and Blockbuster now stocking up on Thunderdome because everybody's going to have to refresh their memory on that turd.
That's stupid. We don't need another hero.
No,
Who doesn't remember Master Blaster?
What?
Master Blaster.
I don't.
Master Blaster,
I don't remember.
the big guy in the helmet. Who was like basically he was like
Was
Who-
was
he
he
was like-
in the
he was-
movie?
yeah, he was the big guy, and his dad was a.
I'm
Was
sorry,
a little
Brian. I
person.
was too busy moving on with my life. Sorry, I don't recall. I do not recall. All I remember is Tina Turner was in that movie. The movie sucked. I saw it in the theater, and I never wanted to remember it again. And I want Mel Gibson to pop up in a cameo playing one of these crazed out fuckers that attacks Mad Max.
And he wouldn't even have to act.
No, he just shows up. Actually, they could just show up at his house and just start filming, and Tom Hardy just knocks on the door.
just digitally edited in.
Okay, well, that's it for news. So now let's go to...
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. All right. Later this year, The Man with the Iron Fist comes to theaters in what is sure to be one hell of a good time. Basically, it revolves around this town's blacksmith in China's jungle village who's been forced by this crazy tribal factions of this big army to create these elaborate tools of destruction. So when the clan's brewing war boils over, the blacksmith has to channel an ancient energy to transform himself into this badass human weapon. So then he joins up alongside some other heroes, and they fight a bunch of like bad guys. And so basically he's just this one guy who's got to harness his power to save his adopted people. And who was it? Was it Justin that you sent this one to us?
Yeah, I saw it last week, and as soon as I watched it, I was like, oh, shit! I've got to pass this on! Because, yeah, I mean, it is a full return to the style of chopsocky flicks that, you had seen back in the late 80s, mid-80s, late 70s. Nothing but just action and over-the-top kills, blood. It looks so fun and funny. Produced by Quentin Tarantino, so it's going to just have his flavor on it, as well as the RZA who wrote and directed it. I can't wait to see it. It looks fantastic.
I agree. It looks like a lot of fun. It's like just one of those crazy shit happening the whole time. Just fun kung fu fights. It just looks like a lot of fun.
It looks fucking stupid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, cool, but cool.
Oh, okay.
Yes, stupid in a good way.
Yeah, it's stupid in a good way. I mean, everything in it looks ridiculous. I think it's awesome that Russell Crowe, either his career has fallen so far that he has to do this, or he realizes he's not cool anymore and he needs to do it.
I think this is more Russell Crowe's kind of film than probably a lot of the stuff that he just kind of got boxed into. But if you look at his early work, he was much more into the raw kind of fun filmmaking as opposed to the Beautiful Mind kind of stuff that he got more famous for. I would imagine he probably had more fun doing this movie than he had a lot of his past ones.
And this is way more fantasy type stuff than something like Kill Bill anyway, so.
Yeah.
And flying eyeballs rock. That's all I got to say.
Mm-hmm. I want that shit in 3D.
Oh.
I want the eyeball looking at me as I'm looking at it.
All right, Tom Cruise is kicking ass again come December 21st in the movie simply titled Jack Reacher. When 5 people are taken out by a sniper in an American heartland town, the police quickly grab and build a case against the culprit, but the accused pleads his innocence and then tells them to get Jack Reacher. So while the defense relaxes a little bit, the man's nervous because he knows that Jack Reacher is coming to shut him up. Aaron, I'm kind of glad to see Cruise taking on more of a little bit of an anti-hero type of role instead of... Looks like he's kicking the ass that he kicks in the Mission Impossible movies. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like he's kind of a bad guy, Jason Bourne type.
Yeah, here's what I think. Tom Cruise is a wacky, nutty fucking fruitcake most of the time in his personal life. But as an actor, the dude's got charisma and star power. Mm-hmm. I don't know why people keep denying it and trying to say that just because he's a quirky Scientologist, he can't be a good actor. He's a very good actor. He's been doing this for a long time. Give the guy his props. I watched the movie. I bought it until I actually read the synopsis from the book and how he's, there seems to be a lot of issue with people that have read the book that say, in the books, he's like 6'5" and extremely built. Well, obviously, Tom Cruise is like 5'10", 5'7", 5'10". He's not very tall. And he does not carry himself with stature. Does that make sense?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have that the bravado where when he walks up you're like, oh shit, which is what he's trying to portray in the trailer. That part I didn't feel at all. But when he does have the fight scene, the guy's kicking ass left and right. So I'm on board to see it. I wish they would change the title because maybe it works for the book or whatever, but it sounds stupid for a movie.
I agree with that.
Didn't they not learn anything from John Carter?
Yeah, exactly. Jack Reacher of Mars.
I don't know.
I think he looks all right. I've never read the books. My wife is a huge fan of the Jack Reacher books. Read them all. In fact, she's thinking about rereading them now that she sees the film coming out. For her, him being cast in the role isn't an issue. She doesn't care that he's not the same size as long as he can carry off the performance. And I certainly don't give a shit if he's not the same size because I don't have this image in my head of what the character is supposed to look like. My only point of hesitation, though, is Cruise is unfortunately starting to look a little more his age. And there's nothing saying that if a 50-year-old guy can't kick ass. But in a film like this, and they're maybe making a franchise, I don't know how much longer he can convincingly pull off this kind of character. But if he can continue to be physical enough to perform it, then I guess go for it. But I liked the trailer. I'm curious to see what they do with it. But since haven't read the books, I don't know how closely it's going to hew to those.
I also haven't read the books, know next to nothing about the story. I kind of feel like I got to see more than what I saw in the trailer to get really excited about it. I thought the fight sequence was awesome, but I just don't want I don't know. The trailer sold it to me as just a bunch of action, and I want to see more what's with the story. But again, that's me.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot what the story is.
Right.
I mean, Brian told me more than that trailer did.
Yeah.
So
From the description of the character, though, you would think they'd have looked at The Rock or somebody like that to play that role, or maybe Jeffrey Dean Morgan, kind of a bigger, beefier sort of dude, but The Rock especially. But maybe he already kind of did that with that. What was that? Standing Tall or whatever?
Walking Tall. Standing Tall.
The Joe Don Baker.
Yeah, Walking Tall.
Walking Tall. There you go.
Stand by Me with
standing,
Morgan
walking.
Freeman.
He was tall.
All right, wrap her up, B.
All right, guys. Well, for these trailers and much, much more, go to thehollywoodoutsiders.com. And before you check out somebody else's vacation pictures, go to facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider and click the like button. So you can also tweet us at H_outsider. But if you've got more to say than just 140 characters will allow, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com.
Stump the Hoe.
Now it's time for Stump the Hoe. Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts in an attempt to stump their fellow hoes. Hoe stands for Hollywood Outsider, not actual prostitutes. This week, it is a listener's turn. Micah H. sends us a question and wants us to try to stump the hoes. Now, I know the answer, so I can't answer, so I'm going to ask the question. And that sounded arrogant. I know the answer because he sent me the question.
Yeah, we assumed that.
Okay, I just want to make sure and be
given.
clear. I don't want to sound arrogant,
God forbid.
God forbid. It's against my nature. So, starting with X-Men. Okay, here's a question from Micah. Starting with X-Men in 2000, Stan Lee has made many cameos in films based on his creations or those which he worked on. To the current date, how many Marvel theatrically released films has Stan Lee made at least a cameo in? Is it A, 12, B, 14, C, 16, or D, 18? Scott.
I'm going to say B14.
Scott says B, 14.
Bingo.
I'll say 16.
Okay, Brian says 16.
I'll go with A12.
Shaking
And
it up.
Justin says 12. Okay, well, we will learn the answer to the question a little later in the show, so stick around. And just to be clear, I will name them all off just to clear up any confusion.
Oh, great.
Well, we're going long, guys.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So let's go to the big screen. Scotty?
All right, we'll start with a quick recap of last week's episode. It was episode 48, Brave Hose. We talked about the releases for July 6th, which included The Amazing Spider-Man. It was all 4 of our picks, as well as Katy Perry, Part of Me. That came out on the 5th, as well as Savages. We also reviewed Brave and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, or Hunger, depending on how you...
I just saw that.
It's very thirsty.
That's the best typo.
Well, hunger's not thirst.
Our topic of the week was, is cable news, is it coming to an end?
Vampires is good eating.
Vampire Hunger.
A little stringy, but
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunger. I like it. Now let's go to movie reviews. We have 2 big movies to review this week. One of them is Magic Mike, which we're going to do in a minute. But first, we have to review the movie that so many people are going to see right now. It's called The Amazing Spider-Man. It's a reboot of a kind of well-known franchise. But Justin, why don't you start off and tell us what it's about?
All right. Well, this film is a reboot of the entire Spider-Man franchise. So we're going to get to see Peter Parker's origin story all over again with some changes made for this film, different from the first one. So you actually have reason to go to the theater and see it as opposed to renting Spider-Man 1 and rewatching it. In this movie, a young Peter Parker is playing hide and seek with his scientist father when he discovers that his father's study has been broken into. His father gathers up the documents, and Peter's parents take him to live with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and then they just mysteriously depart. Years later, a teenage Peter attends Midtown Science High School, where, of course, he's bullied, as we've all seen before. But in this film, his heart's desire is Gwen Stacy, who's played, I think, magnificently by Emma Stone. At home, Peter finds his father's papers in a bag in his aunt and uncle's basement, and this starts a little search for his father, what his father was up to, what happened, why did he leave. There's all sorts of unresolved issues, and he finds out that his father was a scientist who worked at Oscorp with another scientist who's still alive and currently working there. So he goes to Oscorp to find this scientist, Kirk Connors, to find out maybe what happened with his father while he's there. Of course, Emma Stone is an intern there at Oscorp, but Peter Parker talks with Kirk Connors, finds out that they were working on a project of animal splicing of DNA. And you know the rest of the story. Peter gets bitten by a spider, gets powers. In this film, the main bad guy is not Norman Osborn, nor is it the Green Goblin this time. It's Kirk Connors as the Lizard. Lots of fighting ensues. Tussle, tussle, tussle. I think that really kind of sets the stage for this one. Guys, we can't just talk about this film as an individual film. I think we kind of have to address it as a reboot of a rather, not too distant past film. I think the first Superman came out in 2002.
Well, Superman actually came out in 1978. The first Spider-Man came out in 2002. Yeah. You said Superman.
Did I say Superman?
Yeah, you
sure did.
Oh, shit. Well, that's a better film anyway. Spider-Man, the first film came out in like 2002. Now it's 2012. It's only been 10 years. The corpse ain't even cold yet. What do you guys think about this film, and how do you feel it compares to Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man?
Let Scott go first.
As far as how it compares, I don't want to. It's hard to compare this without comparing it to another reboot, which is the Batman franchise, where the original Batmans were a little bit more, I don't want to say silly, but not as realistic. And then they brought it to Batman Begins, and it was brought to be a little bit more believable in a realistic sense. I think that's kind of what they did with this one. Although you can't take getting bit by a radioactive spider and having superpowers, you can't make that real like you can Batman. Batman, you can make him rich and have all these gadgets and that kind of thing, but you can't get over that somehow. Mm-hmm. With this, they did bring the web slinging and stuff to life a little bit and make it a little bit more believable. It didn't take as much of a leap as Batman did, but I like it. I think there's a lot less, and I hate to use the word silliness, but there's a lot of goofy moments in the original Spider-Man, which, don't get me wrong, I loved. And I love the goofy moments on it, but I felt that this one took a little bit more serious, even though it had some humor built into it, that I found refreshing. Not as refreshing as a Batman reboot, but that's my take. Aaron, what'd you think?
That's it? That's what you got?
No. I got more thoughts on the film.
Well, I thought Andrew Garfield nailed Peter Parker in a way that I don't think Tobey Maguire quite did. I like Tobey Maguire a lot. I just think Andrew Garfield did a better job overall. Mm-hmm. Because of his pain and sarcasm was a little bit more real than it was in the previous movies, I guess. Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy was finally a real character. I'm not a fan of Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane in the original movies, even though I love the first movie. She's really the one character anybody else could have played or not have been fine. Mm-hmm. The things that I really loved about it were, well, I guess let me address the direct question that Justin's asking. He's asking, how does it compare to the original Spider-Man? Mm-hmm. I think, in terms of the characters, it's much deeper than the first movie. I think the action's very solid and everything else. But this is a very good launch film for this particular direction that they're trying to set. It is trying to be like the Dark Spider to an extent, where it's trying to be a more realistic view of that world. And the thing that I guess is kind of irritating me is you hear people talking, this one's better than the original Spider-Man. No, I don't agree with that at all. I think the original movie was perfect for what it was trying to be, which it was trying to be a very comic booky version of Spider-Man. And it was. I mean, they nailed that character perfect. And I'm sorry, the effects in that movie still hold to this day, for the most part. The story holds for the most part. I mean, they made the Green Goblin, who by design is a ridiculous looking character, and made it believable in the movie. I just think that they did a very good job in the first movie, and I think it's really sad that people think they should take their shots at the original one with this one. It's a different kind of movie. It's really not the same kind of movie. Tonally, it's a very different movie.
Agreed.
Very different. But the character-wise, Some things in this movie I think are just much better. In the original movie, the Uncle Ben storyline followed the comic books much better. You know, how it was a carjacking and everything else, and the wrestling ring is involved. The whole portion of the origin story is very much based on what the comic book offered. This is very much a retelling of it, which means we're going to change shit that you're really familiar with, so it seems all fresh and new. And I actually think it works. I was much more emotionally invested in Uncle Ben in this movie, even though I thought Cliff Robertson was great in the original one. I almost cried when Uncle Ben, what happens to him, just because they did a very good job of establishing the characters and making you feel, you know what, they have a really close relationship, honest thing, it's normal teen shit. Then this happens and his life's destroyed, and I believed it. Whereas in the first movie, it just seemed because they were going for it, very comic booky. They weren't trying to make your gut hurt with emotion. They were just trying to tell a story and also make kids happy. It was a fun movie. The first movie was a very fun movie. Mm-hmm. This is very much a realistic film, I guess. So I like both of them. I think they're both very good. The action, I think, is probably better in the first movie, just because there's a lot more of it. I think the first hour is kind of slow in this movie. Mm-hmm. But I bought the characters more. That's my take on the comparison between the two movies. What about you, Justin?
I think this film works better for me, and it's entirely because of the two leads. I don't want to take anything away from Tobey Maguire. The only thing I really never cared about with his performance is he was so much more gee golly whiz in his portrayal of Peter Parker, whereas Andrew Garfield was a more sardonic character, and I think Peter Parker is a more sarcastic kind of character, and that performance works better for me than Tobey Maguire's did. And yeah, Emma Stone is just head and shoulders better than Kirsten Dunst. I hate to take anything away from the poor girl because she was really good in Interview with the Vampire, but everything after that has just been diminishing. Nothing she's done has really been all that special. And unfortunately, I think she has two attributes that most people seem to lock in on, and that's about as far as it goes. Emma Stone, though, brings an intelligence to her performances and a believability to her characters that's so much better. So because of those two, I think they alone raise this movie above the other one. But I agree that this film doesn't have nearly as much action as the original Spider-Man does. And when it does have action, I think this film's action is better. I just don't think it has nearly enough of it. But the one thing it misses that the original one had was that sense of Peter Parker having some fun with his abilities. And you really only get one scene where Andrew Garfield is kind of testing it out and giving a couple of woohoos as he's swinging. But Tobey Maguire his character had much more fun being Spider-Man, and you got to see more of him just swinging around the city. But all in all, I think it's tonally more interesting, and I think the characters are played much more deftly in this one. So that's as far as a comparison between the two. I think this one wins out, but it's not by a huge margin, and I think most people's whatever animosity they may have for the original is entirely because of that shitty third film. I think it unfortunately tainted everything that came before it.
I think I enjoyed the original Spider-Man when I saw it in the theater than I did watching this one, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the whole concept of swinging through the city was brand new back in 2002. Yeah. You know, it was 2002 when it came out. That whole concept was brand new, and I think Spider-Man really kind of springboarded the comic book series into what it is today. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Comic book films, yes.
I'm sorry, comic book films, yes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I enjoyed that so much, because it was the first time I had seen that kind of comic book action on the big screen. I think that The Amazing Spider-Man is a better film. As far as I know, you said it didn't follow the comic book as closely in a lot of ways, and I don't have
not closely, just didn't follow it.
Right, and I don't have that comparison. I'm in the few that didn't read the comic books and watched very little of the cartoons as a kid, that kind of thing. But I like the way that those kind of stories were put together in this film better than the first one, because I don't have that connection. I think the way that it was done made a lot more sense and made me, like you said, be more attached to the characters. Uncle Ben was awesome. I was worried about Martin Sheen being Uncle Ben, and he was so cool, because there was a scene that made me think of you when he was all stern with Peter about apologizing, that kind of thing. I was like, that's Aaron right there. Like, He was
Believe
great.
it or not, that is me. So,
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to, because I've been getting a lot of people talking to me about this. I'm not even going to bother seeing it. It's too soon for a reboot, and all these reasons why I'm not going to go see it. And so I kind of went in with it not expecting a whole lot. I had so much fun. There were so many cool moments, so many interesting ways that they wrote with the characters and the interactions that had to them that even though they were somewhat cliched comic book, they took a little bit of twist in them that made them seem fresh, and I really appreciated that. It did drag a little bit at the beginning, but I'm a character development kind of guy anyway, so it didn't bother me too much. It would affect my rewatching, but I had so much fun. I was ready to stand up and cheer.
I will say one of the biggest things, and as anybody that's listened before, this is my favorite comic book character by far. I grew up with Spider-Man. I even liked the shitty Nicholas Hammond TV show that was on in the 70s. I mean, just anything with Spider-Man. I had Spider-Man underwear. I think I still do. I think I'm wearing them currently. Sheets, the whole deal. I mean, I love Spider-Man. Love him. So the character, to me, is very near and dear to my heart. I like the origin story. I don't think it has to adhere to that. I actually like the emotional resonance of the story in this film better, with the Uncle Ben, like I was saying. So that actually surprised the hell out of me, because I'm so stuck on that character that's a big part of who that character is. There's two things that they left out. One that I think is fantastic, and one that I think is really just stupid. The first one is the web shooters. Okay, when the original came out, everybody made a big deal because they're ditching the fact that Peter Parker has homemade web shooters, as opposed to now he's going to have them. Basically, they're part of who he is. They're part of his DNA. I never liked that idea because of what I was afraid was going to happen, which is exactly what happened in the film, is that in the comic books, Peter Parker is basically a genius. He's a genius. I mean, the kid is a scientific genius. You never really get that vibe from the film, the earlier films. I mean, you get that he's a smart kid and he's a geek, but never that he's borderline genius, I don't think. In this film, I think you get that. I mean, you get that he understands what's going on. I think in the first film, the original series, they kind of alluded to it, but Sam Raimi was more interested in having fun, which is fine. It worked great for that series. That's something that always bothered me because I really wanted that aspect. And I think by bringing back the fact that he makes the web shooters and, he designs it, and basically it brings his character a little more into focus than the original films. The one thing that just bugs this is a huge thing for me because I'm a fan of the comic books, is with great power comes great responsibility. Is not in the movie at all.
I was waiting for it too.
They do mention, you got to have responsibility, and I was waiting for it. And to me, that is the one thing that you can't leave out of that series, personally. Because to me, that says everything about the character that he becomes in the entire series. And the fact that they left that out, now maybe they're going to go to it, like maybe that's the last line in the third movie. I have no idea. It should have been part of this series. It should have been part of the origin story. I don't care how many times they reboot it. It should always be there because it's the essence of who the character is. And that was a real big, seriously? Fuck you. I mean, that was really how I felt about it because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I don't know how you guys felt about that, and that's not a spoiler. I'm just saying if you're looking for it, you're not going to hear it.
Right.
So.
I was glad they didn't put it in there, to be honest. And the reason
you
I was glad
can mud fight. We'll mud fight.
I'm glad they didn't, because as much as that phrase is a part of the character, that phrase has also become a little bit of a joke. And I don't mean that in a really bad way, but everybody says it. And everybody says it because it became such a part of the zeitgeist, a part of our culture. And to go back to that exact wording could have worked for them with some people, and it really could have worked against them with some audiences. I felt like the sentiment was there. I mean, they basically said it. They just used different words. And I think that the way Uncle Ben explained it in this movie, I thought his explanation worked better than just the phrase, with great power comes great responsibility. So I was fine with it and actually preferred the way they did it. But as a diehard fan, it would be like if they redid Star Wars and didn't put in May the Force be with you. I could see people getting up in arms about it.
If they switched it to, here, take some Force, I don't think you'd be so thrilled with it.
But I think Martin Sheen, they were really smart, though, in getting Martin Sheen and Sally Field to play these characters. I think that where they really went, where it worked better is because they seemed more like parental characters and more age appropriate, as opposed to the, almost grandparents that Peter Parker had in the original film. And so since they're a little closer to him in age, especially Sally Field, that it felt a little more like a family than I think the original film did. But I wish they'd just would have put more action in it, because when he was going off and running up walls and flipping around and jumping, it was really a lot of fun. I mean, my brother even made a joke at one point after he did the running and jumping and flipping and going up walls and across roofs. He was sitting next to me in the theater, and he was like, Peter Parker, they should call him Peter Parkour.
Oh,
Wow.
And it was all I could do. Not to ruin everybody's time, but just busting a gut laughing. But it looked fantastic, and I just wish they would have had more of it, because it looked great.
Yeah.
And the web shooters, every time he would hit it, and it gave that perfect snap sound, and you got that little flash of red from the shooter, it looked really much more visually interesting than the organic shooter. And I'm so glad they won't be able to do the whole, web shooter as impotence kind of thing that they did in the second film.
And the 3D, some people have asked me what I thought about the 3D. I saw it in 3D. I know Justin did. You did not.
Yeah.
I did
Oh,
see
we
it
all
too.
did. Okay. I thought personally the 3D was cool in spots, mostly unnecessary. But when he was sweeping around and there was action and whatnot, those scenes were great. The web shooting was actually pretty cool. And the very, very last shot, if you guys remember, the very, very last shot
Yep.
before it goes to
I know
credits,
what you're talking about.
when they show Spider-Man just mid night sky or whatever, awesome shot.
For
just
real.
a beautiful shot, and the 3D in that was really fucking cool.
I can agree with you more, because
good.
I was expecting the movie to end about 45 seconds before that. I
Yeah.
really thought they were going to end the credits before that, and I was kind of bummed that they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they finished with what they did, I was like, okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
My issue with the 3D, I don't even know so much an issue, but when you go see a 3D movie and about 20 minutes into it, you don't even notice the 3D anymore? Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, with a movie that takes so long to get going, like The Amazing Spider-Man did, by the time you get to those scenes, the wowness or the appeal of it is kind of worn off at that point. It still looks really cool, but you don't have that sense of wonder with the 3D that you do for the first 10 minutes that you see a movie.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's nothing that deserves 3D in the first act of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I almost kind of wish.
I actually took my glasses off several times, and there was no effect. Like, it looked the same.
Oh,
It looked
really?
the exact same. The 3D is really only when the action's going.
Right.
So
And unfortunately, there's no good way to, put your glasses on now kind of thing. But I don't know how else to do that.
And to wrap the review up, one thing we haven't talked a lot about was the Lizard. And I will be honest with you, the Lizard is a very minor character in this. They do a good job of the reason the Lizard is great for this type of movie is because they're focusing more on the characters and setting up future stories. And obviously, there's a lot of mysteries that still are left hanging at the end.
A lot of them.
Yeah, which I didn't like that, but they better make sequels to answer them. That's all I got to say. But the Lizard wasn't as big a part of it. But when he was on, the Lizard was a cool character. I thought the CGI was actually pretty neat for the Lizard. So that's really all I have to say about that. I'll wrap up mine. I still prefer the original film to this one, as it's just simply more fun. But this was very good, and for somebody that was going in a hater, because all I was worried about was like, oh, it's going to be the Dark Spider, and this is going to suck balls. I'm on board for sequels. I actually liked it. Andrew Garfield much better than Tobey Maguire, just because he made the role his own, which is pretty impressive. Seeing the last movie was 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I give it 8.5 out of 10.
Wow, that's more than I thought. I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I was going to. I was ready to go watch the second time right after it was done, and that doesn't happen a whole lot for me. Even with a slow start, which is one of my only minor complaints. You mentioned the lizard creature. I thought he looked cool until it got to close-up shots of him, and those looked really off to me. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was watching CG instead of watching something real, which, sure, that those kind of things don't exist. So those are the only real two minor gripes I had with it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. $9 out of 10.
Ooh. And Justin?
Wow. I'll end with two notes, one a positive, one a negative. The negative is I didn't, and this may be only important to me, but this film's score by James Horner, I don't remember a thing of it. Whereas in the original Spider-Man films, the scores, oh Jesus, who did the scores for those?
Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman. At least those scores had a theme that you could remember. I don't remember a single note of the music from this film, and that's a shame, because one thing a good superhero movie should have is a really cool score. This one didn't have it. The thing that I liked about it, though, and I'm not going to be spoiling it, but the writers in this movie made some really great choices, and for me, the best choice they made was at the end of the film. Gwen Stacy she says something that, thank God she did, because if she hadn't, I would have really walked away from the movie with a pretty sour taste in my mouth. But they went smarter with it, and they went smart with her character. And when she said it, I was like, oh, thank God she gets it. I loved it. So
Same here.
I think all in all, the film is better than the first, though I wish they would have trimmed about 20, 30 minutes out of the middle. It dragged a little too much. And for some reason, it seems like a lot of films these days suffer from that middle sag. I'll give it 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. Oh, and also, real quick, Dennis Leary, best performance he's given since the first season of Rescue Me.
Oh, seriously.
I guess we forgot to mention him, but he plays Gwen Stacy's dad, and really good job, man. I was
Yeah,
impressed.
smart writing on him, too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is The Amazing Spider-Man. Justin and I both give it 8.5, and Scotty gives it a 9. Well, next up is Magic Mike, and we're going to do this a little different, and I'm going to start it off. So. Okay, are you ready for what's next? Well then, ladies, gather round. We're going to talk about our performers coming to the stage here at the Magic Mike Club tonight. Our choreographer, Steven Soderbergh, has worked up one hell of a show for you. But don't worry, ladies, you're only going to get as much as you can handle. First up, you're going to see Matthew McConaughey. You can call him Dallas because you'll love to have him right at your border. Dallas runs our little club here, and he's got his eyes set on a bigger picture down south. Oh yeah, in Miami. We've also got little Alex Pettifer, the newbie we like to call the kid. See, he's young, ladies, but he's got the experience, you know what I mean? Old Mikey likes to take care of the kid, ladies, but he's willing to share. The kid even has a sister that old Mikey wants a piece of if you ladies are into that. Be careful though, ladies. This kid is still young and wild, so it might take a little effort on your part to keep him wherever it is you want him. There's a few other performers backstage tonight. Matt Bomer, better known as Ken, a real doll, and Joe Manganiello. It doesn't matter how you say his name, ladies, because we're just going to show you why we call him Big Dick Richie. Oh yeah. They'll only be on the stage for a few minutes though, so get your fill fast. But we all know who you really came here to see. Some know him as Channing Tatum. Most know him here at the club as Magic Mike himself. Old Mikey's been doing this for a long time, baby. And that means he knows what he's doing. Now, he might spend some time telling you about how he wants to leave the stage and open up some kind of custom furniture store. But this is Mikey, baby. This is what he does best. Old Dallas ain't gonna let him leave that easy. Oh, no. Now, the law says you can't touch the performance on our stage. No, no, no. But I'm looking around and I see a lot of lawbreakers out there tonight. Especially you, Scotty. Hell yeah. Y'all are even such good criminals. Instead of our normal $10 full price cover, this lathered up party is only going to cost you $6, babies. $6. Shut up. So don't worry, ladies. Just relax. We know why you really came and why we're here to fulfill your order. All you need to do is sit back in that seat and let old Mike work his magic. It's showtime. Take it away, salacious Scotty.
You didn't prepare me for this.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, I saw Magic Mike as well. I will not be doing a Matthew McConaughey impression to tell you what I thought of it.
I don't think I did either.
Aaron didn't do it either. That was more Billy D. Williams than McConaughey.
It's the best I can do.
Who cares about the fucking movie after that?
What did you think, Scott?
I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I probably I went into this with pretty average expectations. I like Soderbergh's films a lot. It's one of those movies I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I love the stripper scenes." But I'm not into dudes, believe it or not.
I disagree.
And but the stuff that they did on stage was really well choreographed and really more of a stage presentation than merely a striptease. So that kind of stuff was actually pretty interesting and funny, just because it makes you laugh. The stuff that they're doing on stage is so ridiculous, so funny. It's going to turn every woman on like crazy, but to me it was funny, but it was really well done. That said, my favorite parts of any Soderbergh movie, and this one in particular, is the dialogue and the way that the different scenes are written. You feel like each scene feels like it's not scripted, even though it is. It feels like you're actually just listening in on a conversation, and things are going back and forth. It was really good. Channing Tatum, I get a lot of flack for praising this guy. He's really entertaining on stage.
He's an amazing dancer, man.
He is that, and just his acting ability. He's just a likable guy. I just like whenever he's on screen, I like to watch him, not with his clothes off. I like.
You're very apologetic. I think he's an amazing dancer. I don't care if his ass cheeks were off. He's got a nice bum.
You think the Scotty doth protest too much?
Yeah. So okay, I'll stop protesting.
Yeah.
No, he's very much fun to watch acting as well. His character especially is very likable. The story itself feels a little bit like a less interesting Boogie Nights, even though we're talking about stripping versus porn, sure. So I knocked a couple points off on that just because it just felt like a rehash story. It felt like I wasn't getting a whole lot of new story-wise, other than I've never seen a stripper movie before, or a male stripper movie. Still, it was a lot of fun. The acting was really good, and I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. All right, let's go to our speed round. That's where we talk about any movies that we've seen, just talk about them quickly, that have previously been reviewed or new to DVD. Justin, you just saw Wrath of the Titans. What'd you think?
Really?
Less than a minute. Good job.
Crap story made up for barely by decent special effects. That was some of the weakest writing I think I've ever seen.
Okay.
I can't believe I bought that shit.
Is that your full review?
That's my review.
Oh, you bought it?
Oh, God, don't even remind me.
I'm sure you bought it on Blu-ray, too.
Yep, 3D, bitch.
Okay. Well, last one. I saw Seeking Justice. Do you have a 3D TV?
It comes with the 3D Blu-ray, regular Blu-ray, and then just a DVD.
But you don't
I
have...
get it future-proofing my shit.
Okay. All right. Covering your bases. I get you.
That's right.
Well, I saw Seeking Justice, and real quick, after his wife is brutally raped, Will Gerard, played by Nick Cage, is approached by a mysterious stranger named Simon. That's played by Guy Pearce. Simon offers Will a trade. His group, quote-unquote, will find and handle the attacker, but Will has to repay this debt with a favor to be named later. It turns out the favor ends up being a bigger deal than old Will thought, and he has to go out of his way to try to find a way out of it, get his life back, yada, yada, yada. The plot reminded me a lot of a show that I used to love called Vengeance Unlimited with Michael Madsen. That only lasted one season. It sounded just like it. The show was much better, by the way. Nick Cage was fine. His wife was played by January Jones, who I am convinced is the most boring hot chick ever. Just, the woman has no charisma, zero.
Nope.
I don't know why she's still acting, but other than she's hot. There's a lot of hot women out there that can act better than this, people. Guy Pearce was really good. The guy is a great bad guy, and pretty much anything he does just works. So I wish he'd get more films and Nick Cage would get less. Overall, it was a little silly, but it's a nice little unknown thriller that works more than it doesn't. So if you're in the mood for something like that, it's about 5.5 out of 10. Okay, let's go to box office. Ted, the foul-mouthed teddy bear, opened with $54 million, shocking just about everybody. Magic Mike as well opened strong with $39 million. But one thing to note, the movie dropped 41% from Friday to Saturday, which means it had a huge opening day, and then it dropped 41%, which is very bad for the future of the movie.
Yeah.
Magic Mike couldn't
keep it up.
Girls are hornier on Friday than they are on Saturday.
No, I just think there's a lot of women that got their friends together and said, let's go see it. And then they realized, oh, it's not just 2 hours of naked men. That sucks. Let's just go to the bar. Amazing Spider-Man has set a Tuesday record with $35 million on its opening day, and it has $59 million to date, with Sony predicting a $120 to $130 million weekend by Sunday. It opened with $50 million overseas, bigger than the Avengers in some markets. So we'll see where the movie goes. People often forget Spider-Man is the most popular Marvel property out there, so don't doubt this one.
Better than what movie?
The Avengers in some markets.
Name
I
redacted.
don't think I've heard that one.
You should have covered that base, sir. What kind of lawyer are you?
I didn't fucking know you were going to drop the name. I'm not a robot. I can't act on, a second of you saying it.
Let's go to Justin's upcoming attractions.
All right, for July 13th, we've got 3 movies coming out. 2 of them are in limited release. The first one, The Imposter. The Imposter is a 2012 documentary about the 1997 case of Frederick Bourdin, who impersonated a boy who had disappeared in 94, claiming to have been kidnapped for sexual abuse and transported from Texas to Spain. His impersonation fooled several authorities and even many of the boy's family members, even though he was 7 years older than the missing boy, had brown eyes and dark hair rather than the boy's blue eyes and blonde hair. So not the sharpest knives in the butcher block over in that family. The impersonation was discovered only by a private investigator who brought his own misguided hypothesis into the story. Because the events depicted in the film were not filmed when they were happening, the film recreates them with actors. Now, if anyone on this show would impersonate someone else to step away from their own sad life, it would be Sad Sack Scotty. So, Scotty, does this sound like a solid plan to you?
Well, it did until I found out it was based on a true story.
Is it really based on a true story?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Or is it one of those where they just say it's based
No,
on
no,
a true
No, it's based on a true story.
It's right. It's a full documentary.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I thought this was just a cool idea and it was going to be a mystery and
It sounds like a horrible fucking thing now.
yeah, no,
True
it did-
stranger than fiction, man.
yeah. So I was really interested in it and the idea of is he really him or is he not? And now that I know, I don't know. I'm a little less
Spoiler
interested.
alert, it wasn't him.
So
That sounds so horrible. It really does. I really want to see that now. That sounds like the most interesting idea for a documentary I've seen in forever.
Well, luckily for you, it's coming out July 13th.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, the second film is also in limited release called Red Lights. Red Lights is a 2012 thriller written and directed by Rodrigo Cortez and stars Robert De Niro, Sigourney Weaver, Cillian Murphy, Toby Jones, and Leonardo Sparaglia. Aaron, could you pronounce that last name? Sparaglia?
Yeah, what he said.
Psychologist Margaret Matheson and her assistant study paranormal activity, which leads them to investigate a world-renowned psychic who's resurfaced years after his toughest critic mysteriously passed away. Now, Aaron, as a Catholic, you're predisposed to believe all this sort of supernatural bullshit. What do you think? You calling shenanigans on this one?
First of all, I'm Baptist, but thank you.
you call him Catholic every week. I
You
swear
do
to God.
every week.
You
call me
seem
Catholic.
like a Catholic to me.
So anybody
I don't
that
know.
goes to church is Catholic, which A, I don't go to church. B, I'm not Catholic, so it's okay. I'm not, I wish I was, because I wish I could just walk into a booth and say a couple Hail Marys and I'm all good.
You believe in the mythic guy in the sky, so it's all really just shades of crap to me. But anyway,
That's a different podcast.
right.
Yes, that's one of the movies I'm most looking forward to the next couple months. So I really want to see it. I really like Cillian Murphy. He's an interesting guy to watch. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't necessarily think he's a genius actor of any kind. He's just one of those guys that he has a certain kind of allure, I guess. He acts.
You're drawn to him.
Yeah,
every
it's
time
very unique, I guess.
He's no Channing Tatum, but
No, he doesn't wiggle. Yeah, he doesn't do any of that jacks. But what he does do is brings his own charisma to the role, and he makes every movie that he's in interesting. And with Sigourney Weaver and Robert De Niro, I'm on board. So I'm going to be there.
my only hesitation with it is the descriptions all say thriller. They don't really mention any kind of horror or supernatural aspects, which leads me to believe that the psychic shenanigans are not of supernatural origin, which really diminishes my interest.
Maybe he's a Catholic. I don't know.
Anyway, last film on our list is Ice Age Continental Drift. This one's a 3D computer animated adventure comedy starring the voices of Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, Dennis Leary, Queen Latifah, Sean William Scott, blah, 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 bunches of people, ending the list with Nicki Minaj. Really? Anyway, Manny, Diego, and Sid embark upon yet another madcap adventure. After their continent is set adrift, using an iceberg as a ship, they encounter sea creatures and battle pirates as they explore a new world. Brian, I got nothing. Go.
That's
Interest?
a little bit more than I got. Because I really don't. I don't get excited about these Ice Age movies. I'll catch them on Blu-ray or cable or something, and they're entertaining, but they just don't do much for me. So
It's a very much a family picture. I mean, if you have a family, or if you have little kids, or if you like to stare at little kids, whatever you're into, this is the kind of movie that allures that child. I don't know what the fuck I was saying.
What are you fucking
I don't
talking
know.
about?
I don't know. I went off the deep end.
Dude, you went to a really dark place.
If you like
and
to
then
stare at
start
little
bumbling?
kids, is that really what you
You'd be
just
like to
said?
stare at little kids and go to the
I didn't
go
know
to
that
the
to laugh
bathroom
or
when they go to
not.
the bathroom and help them with their pants. And
I
it's
play
like, dude,
this
that's
in
what
my
you.
van as I drive
Right.
around with the door open.
If you're an uncle and your middle name is
Hey, little
Diddles,
kid, you want to watch some Ice Age?
Come down to my basement.
Scotty, do you want to see it?
My name's Uncle Touchy.
no, I don't want
I'm
to see
leaving
it.
that in too.
I would rather pay like a couple bucks to watch the portions of this movie that are going to have the guy chasing the acorn at the as like a
The,
as like
like
a
the little tune.
you know what I'm talking
the
about?
Short tune.
That's the only part of these movies that interests me at all because they're funny, but there's not enough there to make me want to pay $10 to watch these movies. I'd rather watch that as like the beginning of something else that I'm going to go pay $10 for. And
Exactly. And what I was trying to say is, if you have a family, you have kids, or if you are related to little kids and you want to go, then you should go.
Just really like kids.
Because you know what?
In a
It was so
platonic
much
way.
Yeah, it went so much better that time, Aaron. Good job.
Anyway, wrap it up, Justin.
All right, on that creepy note, let's go ahead and end this thing. Again, July 13th, The Imposter, Red Lights, Ice Age, Pedophile Drift. Aaron, which one are you wanting, man? Which one are you going to go see?
Oh, pick red lights.
really, I was really not
Red
Ice
lights.
Age, huh?
Yep, red lights. I don't want to go anywhere near Ice Age now.
Dude,
Sure
yeah,
you
if you go see
don't.
Ice Age, you're going to be seeing a lot of red lights.
People will be looking for you.
Blue lights, red lights.
Scotty, what do you want to see?
I'm also picking Red Lights. I'm with you guys. Cillian Murphy is just too interesting to watch, and the movie looks awesome anyway. So
Brian Williams?
Yes, sir. I'm actually going to go with The Imposter. The story just fascinates me, and I really want to kind of see how this story develops. Obviously, like I say, we kind of know it's not him, but hey, we knew the Titanic sunk, so it was a
This is true.
it's a good point.
it was a fun ride to get there anyway.
The
so.
imposter is Leonardo DiCaprio. I knew it. Okay.
Don't let go, Jack. Don't let go.
What's your pick?
As far as I'm concerned, I'd have to go with you two guys. I'll see Red Lights. I'm not a huge documentary kind of guy, and this one it's a little creepy, more creepy than Aaron and Ice Age. So I'll go with Red Lights. There you go.
Pedophile drift. All right.
So are you going to title this one Pet Ho File?
Beat me to it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, if that would get it yanked off of iTunes. So
What's this movie?
Each week we'll play a little movie clip and give you guys a chance to see if you can guess what it is. And anybody that gets it right, we'll give you a little name drop on the show. Last week's answer was adaptation. And the people that got it right was Dustin B. and Tom P. Or as his signature line says, Tom. This week's picker is actually Dustin B., who wrote in who got the question right. He actually wants to suggest one that we can do this week. So here is Dustin's clip. If you think you know what it is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. That's feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Or tweet us at H_outsider. I am going to go shower.
You go down there if you got the nerve.
Still trying to outsmart me, aren't you, Mule Skinner? You want me to think that you don't want me to go down there, but the subtle truth is you really don't want me to go down there. Well, are you reassured now, Major?
Okay, if you guys think you know what that is, then email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Now let's move on to the couch, where we talk about the latest in TV and home video news. Even though some of the characters graduated, the primary cast of Glee apparently will be back next season, though some are going to have a reduced presence.
I don't know how I feel about this. I love the first season of Glee. You know me, I'm a musical guy. I tried to watch the second season, and I started getting bored with the characters, and I gave up on it ever since then. I don't know. I mean, like you said, they're graduated. How are they going to keep the characters in? Are they going to be teachers now? Are they going to be like has-beens?
Maybe they all failed their constitution test. I honestly don't know.
Like I said, the first season was so fun because it was a fresh idea, and then by the time I rolled in the second season, it just felt like they were trying too hard, and I don't know. And I love musicals, and I wanted to like that, and I just kind of got bored with it. So I'm not really excited about. Was it a fifth season now that they're going to do?
I have no idea. I don't watch the
season
show.
4.
Is it? I don't know. Just
Yeah.
quit while you're ahead with that. I don't know.
Well, and I think they made a real big mistake in that. I think if they had played it smart, every season they would have introduced 1 or 2 new characters, roll a couple characters out, and keep a constantly revolving cast of characters. That way you don't get that creepy character that, should have graduated a couple years ago and just for some reason continues to hang around outside the high school. Just how you living? How you doing?
Just staring at all the kids.
That's funny on so many levels that nobody else would get. The 4 of us.
Just think pedophile drift.
But yeah, I stopped watching it the early part of the 3rd season. It just got too tired. The characters just weren't fun to watch anymore. So I have no interest in this show anymore. They ruined what really was a fantastic first season and fair to Midland second season. It's just been downhill and no interest.
All right. Well, what about Carlton Cuse' first series since Lost? It's going to be Bates Motel. It's going to be on the A&E network, and it's going to be centered around Norman Bates before the world learns he's, psycho.
Because it's Carlton Cuse, I'm interested. He's, been a producer on 2 of my favorite shows of all time, Lost and The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. I love those shows. I think they're phenomenal. Because his name is attached, I'm halfway interested, but I'm not the Hitchcock guy you are. Mm-hmm. So my interest in the subject material itself is really minimal. So he's the draw for me, not the psycho aspect. I would imagine you have a different take on that.
I love psychology. My mom's been involved in psychology for 30 years, so I've been around it my whole life, and I love Psycho. So you take those 2 things. I really care a lot about the psychology of a character. That said, with this particular character, I don't want to know everything about him. I don't want his entire backstory. I like the fact that you're trying to figure out why he became the way he is, and everybody has that story in their head. And this movie has lasted for 50 plus years. I mean, so what I think is do this with a different character, that start the series out with him being crazy, and then you can backtrace the steps. But with the character Norman Bates, just like with the sequels, I don't want it. I don't want to know what he does later. I don't want to know how he got to where he is. I just want that one movie, and I'm done. So will I watch it?
If this was on a different network, I would probably be more interested too. Like an FX or something, or, HBO or Showtime. Mm-hmm. I'd probably be more interested.
A&E hasn't really convinced me that they're willing to get behind the show. I like the Glades, and that's really the only one I like. So everything else is just, meh, it's okay. I don't know. I'll probably tune into it just because I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan. I want to see how they present it. But if it ends up just being Dexter Light, I'll pass. All right, real quick mention, Charlie Sheen's Anger Management, which we're not going to dwell on, but it premiered as the top-rated cable comedy premiere ever. So let's see where it goes by the time the 10 episodes are done. No one needs to really keep going with this. But speaking of ratings, HBO has renewed Newsroom for a second season. The show's only had like 2 episodes that hit the air. But True Blood also got a 6th season, and Eastbound and Down, that ridiculous show, is getting 8 more episodes.
Eastbound and Down is fucking hilarious. But they said that, they said this last season was going to be the last season. So that's...
You can't keep Kenny Powers down, motherfucker.
So I don't know. I'm one hand, I kind of wish they would have just ended it. And then, but now, but I am kind of glad to see a little bit more.
They very easily could have.
Newsroom is good. You're right. It's only been 2 episodes, but I really like it. I know apparently I'm not the only one. So that's, for me personally, that's good. And True Blood, I couldn't care fucking less about that show, but
I'm with you.
I've heard nothing but fantastic stuff about Newsroom. So when it eventually hits DVD or download, I'll check it out.
All right. Let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scott.
All right, we're going to be talking about the releases for July 10th. First up is American Reunion. This is the American Pie gang that comes back together for the surprisingly fun American Reunion. I actually enjoyed that movie quite a bit. Also, Flowers of War. This stars Christian Bale, who plays a Westerner in Japan during the Nanking Massacre. Being Flynn. This is Robert De Niro and Paul Dano, or Dano, I'm assuming Dano. Tells the story of a son who contemplates reuniting with his father, who's a con man. And also in TV, Glades Season 2 comes on DVD.
I like that show.
Did you?
That's a good show. Yeah.
Not seen it.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
With that, we'll move on to our flashback DVD Blu-ray section. This is where one of us brings to the table a little-known or obscure film that they'd like the rest of us to check out. This week, it's actually my turn, and I kind of break the rules with this each time it's my turn, and I'm going to do the same thing this week. The movie that I've chose isn't really so much lesser known. It won several Academy Awards, but it's an older film that I think a lot of the younger generation really should check out because it's one that seriously holds up so well today. It's not incredibly old. It's 1973. It's The Sting with Robert Redford and Paul Newman and Robert Shaw. This is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's a film that no matter how many times I watch it, I can pop it in and just get such enjoyment out of watching this movie. It's so well acted, so well written. The music is awesome. I used to play ragtime on piano when I was a kid, so I kind of got that going for me. The story is Robert Redford's Johnny. Is it Johnny? Or his last name is Hooker. He basically wants to get revenge on someone that murdered his partner as a con artist, and they basically take on a big powerhouse in Robert Shaw's character. This complicated scheme that they put together to kind of get back at this guy is just so clever, so awesome. There's a poker scene on a train that's just a brilliant to watch. It's so much fun. It takes place in the 30s, and don't let it be an older film scare any of you young folk away. This movie is seriously a lot of fun. It's one of those that the aha moments in it are just so well put together and a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So check it out.
Okay, now let's go to our Stump the Hoe answer. The question again, submitted by Micah H., was, starting with X-Men in 2000, Stan Lee has made many cameos in films based on his creations or those which he worked on. To the current date, how many Marvel theatrically released films has Stan Lee made at least a cameo in? The selections were A, 12, B, 14, C, 16, or D, 18. Justin picked 12, Scotty picked 14, and Brian picked the correct answer, which was 16 Marvel movies.
Nicely done, sir.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
And they are as follows. Ready?
You want me to list them off the top of my head?
No, don't. Amazing
good.
Spider-Man, The Avengers, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, X-Men 1 and 3, Iron Man 1 and 2. In both films, people get confused on this, he is the guy that Tony Stark mistakes for someone else. In Iron Man 1, he says he thinks he's Hugh Hefner. In Iron Man 2, he thinks he's Larry King. Captain America, Daredevil, Thor, Hulk, The Incredible Hulk, and Fantastic 1 and 2. Boom. And that actually took some research to make sure that those were all correct.
Speaking of, how fantastic was the cameo in the Amazing Spider-Man? I'm not going to ruin it. I'm going to spoil it.
It was a great cameo. That's probably the best cameo, I think, so far.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
It was
awesome. I'm so awesome that Brian hasn't seen it yet.
Fucking hell. You guys shut the fuck up about it already.
All right, let's go to our From the Outside In topic, where each week we talk about a topic that's on ours or our listeners' minds. This week our topic is, what are our most annoying film cliches? Those things that lazy filmmakers employ, like a cat jumping out at our hero in a horror movie, the victim always falling down in a horror movie, one of those times where athletic prowess should be evident, but apparently they always fall down. That kind of thing. What are our most annoying cliches that are still in movies today? Scott, you want to start?
Sure. My most annoying film cliche has got to be the romantic comedy formula, just in general.
Oh, boo.
No, narrow
Be
it
more
down.
specific.
Narrow it down, brother.
I am.
Cliche. Yep, you better get there.
I'm getting booed for that? No, I love romantic comedies, but the generic ones where guy meets girl, they fall in love, or he woos her in some way, they go on their relationship, he fucks up somehow, she leaves him, he turns around and does some beautiful thing at the very end of the movie to win her back over, roll credits.
Makes an ass out of himself in public.
Something that wins over the audience, wins over her, and then you never see anything after that when one of them jacks up again down the road.
I really love cars, so I'll probably pay attention to a few of these things more than some others, but there's a couple of things like car tires do not squeal on dirt or gravel roads.
No, they don't.
I don't care how hard you rear end somebody or have a head-on collision. Cars don't flip.
Or jump each other.
Yeah, right. You know, if you rear end a car going 150 miles an hour, your car does not flip off on its right side as it tumbles over and then blows up in black smoke. So, drivers, you know, when a guy's driving, the camera's on, and he or she is looking at whoever's in the passenger seat for like 5 minutes without even looking at the road.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Those are a few of mine, and I've got more, but what have you got, Justin?
Well, and apparently car manufacturers in movies make their gas tanks out of flint. I mean, those things just fucking explode.
Yeah.
Like they're a bunch of Pintos or something.
I don't think a car, in any realistic scenario would blow up if it, midway through a fall off a cliff. Yeah, I mean, if it had a bomb attached to it, fair enough. But just because, you clipped another oncoming vehicle and you veer off a 2,000-foot cliff, your car does not just spontaneously blow up midway down.
Especially since the gas tank isn't there, generally.
Right.
Well, in a similar vein, I mean, do we all not now understand that shooting a gas tank or shooting gas laying on the road, a bullet is made of lead. Lead does not spark. Therefore, shooting it ain't going to cause an explosion of any sort. I thought we all learned that a long time ago, but I continue to see it.
And speaking of the trail of gas, the gas itself is not nearly as flammable as the fumes are. The fumes are what usually ignite the gas when there's a spark.
Right. Mythbusters has gone through this shit before.
I actually saw a movie once, and this is a true story. I couldn't tell you the life of me what the movie was called. I think it was some shitty TV movie, but it was on gravel, and there was a trail of gas, and they shot it, and it caught on fire. And all I could think was, it's fucking possible. There's no way that could possibly happen.
Even if you had fire bullets, it would not happen.
And the worst part was the trail led to a car where they had the gas cap off a car. It wasn't even like dripping out of the tank or anything like that. It's just the gas cap was off. The trail led to the car, and therefore the car exploded because apparently the fumes were so compacted in that one area. Oh, God. Sorry, Justin, go ahead.
Well, and in a completely different vein, you open this up with talking about how in horror movies, they'll try and get you with that cheap scare of either a cat jumping at you or, they'll do that little musical, the violin will suddenly screech and that's supposed to frighten you, the boo scare. Another horror cliche, though, that I really hate is if you have a character who's looking in a mirror, say their medicine chest, and they open it to get something out of it, that as soon as they close it, or if the camera pans away from the mirror for a second to follow them getting a towel, as soon as that camera comes back around, there's going to be something in it. It infuriates me that they try and ruin a good scare by using these tired techniques.
Well, and it doesn't help that they use that same scene in every preview too. So
yeah.
So it's not like even in the movie, in the part of the movie that is there, you still know it's coming. I don't hate that as much. It is very predictable. I know it is. It doesn't get me, but I do kind of look forward to it a little bit. I hate to say that, but I do. It is very. It is very cliche. It is way overdone and. So,
speaking of cars, the one that really gets me is anytime a horror movie, when the car won't fucking start, the car you've been driving the entire movie, no problems, never even a little sputter.
You've got a brand new Mercedes, and now all of a sudden it won't start just because the serial killer is chasing you.
Exactly.
How about no cell phone reception? Like that just seems like where does a cell phone not freaking work?
Yeah, and they're in the middle of the city.
Not everybody has AT&T. I mean, some people.
And also running out of gas. Who doesn't check the gas gauge? Who has no idea this is coming?
Right.
Oh, shit, guys, we're out of gas. Oh, man, I didn't see that coming. What a surprise.
Oh, I got one. How about when couples are laying in bed, they always have those L-shaped blankets where the guy is waist up, but her tits are covered, like no matter what movie it is. Or in the same token, they just got done having sex. Guy is naked, but she's wearing a bra and a shirt that she somehow had time to put on.
Sometimes you're in a hurry, Scotty. You got to get it done. You don't have all day, brother.
That ain't how Scotty rolls. But yeah, Scotty brought up romantic comedies. And the one thing that always infuriates me is in these movies when the drama comes from one character not giving a piece of information to the other one that had they just said it would have completely solved any misunderstandings and they would have been ushered off into their happily ever after. But because of some stupid trumped up reason, they don't say that one thing, and then you get all the misunderstandings and issues that are resolved at the end of the movie when they're holding the boombox or whatever up. I hate that stupid lack of communication where just about every other couple in real life would have already been yelling about that very thing.
Some of my big ones are action movies where the hero and villain fire off like 640 rounds of ammunition and either A, don't reload, or B, don't hit anything of significance the entire time. It's like watching the A-Team episodes from the 80s all the time. I don't understand that. How the fuck are you the hero that's going to save the world when you can't hit the guy that's 10 feet in front of you? I just don't understand it.
Unless it's Army of Darkness, it's okay then, right?
Yeah, well then it's funny. Or when they find a way to use a paperclip or a credit card to get your ass into some otherwise pretty secure ass location. That always cracks me up. Like, oh, I can't get in here. Oh wait, I got a paperclip. I'll get in. And they've got high-tech security. Come on, man. It's 2012. It ain't going to happen. And right before dispersing into the villain, that annoying monologue that they still do. I mean, Austin Powers has made fun of it 100 times, and they're still doing it in movies where they still have time to make a monologue explaining the entire motivation behind everything they've done. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And I'm kind of tired of the clever little retort right before they dispatch the bad guy, too. Because it's never as funny as the writers think it is.
Oh, come on. If it's Arnold Schwarzenegger giving it.
But he hasn't given it in a while.
Your luggage.
Well, unless you're a maid.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Yeah.
What about going racial here for a second?
Uh-oh.
What?
I did that earlier.
What?
And I did it very badly, so be careful.
I'll tiptoe. How's that?
Okay.
The black guy always dies first.
That's
Always.
true. That's true. And even it seems
there's
like
wearing a red shirt.
it's even in horror movies where they now they're trying to be aware of this and they still kill him first. Tell me that.
I know. But and it's funny because when you have a movie with some Latinos or Latinas and they're speaking, this kind of bugs me is where they'll speak with an accent, but they're speaking perfectly good English. But instead of saying like sir or thank you, they still say senor or gracias.
Yes, to illustrate that they're Spanish.
Yeah, it's like, okay, why can't you just if you know how to articulate the way some pipes in a sewer system are laid out, then surely you know how to say thank you in English.
I don't also understand why there's still the cliche of the black stereotype character. It's still in movies.
Blang,
today.
blang.
Yeah, that guy. The Damon Wayans from Living Color Days. I don't understand why that still exists. I still see him pop up every now and then. I'm like, what? In movies that are made by African-American filmmakers. Kevin Hart is a perfect example of that exact stereotype.
Good point.
Okay.
How about the
That's
phone?
getting a little off topic. I'm sorry.
Topic? How about the phone? Does anybody ever notice that nobody says goodbye when they hang up the telephone in movies?
Yeah.
They just stop talking and shut the phone off or hang it up.
Fuck, dude. Jack Bauer's got shit to do. He ain't got time. He ain't got time to sit there and be pleasantries.
It feels awkward, though.
Give pleasantries.
You're waiting for all right, talk to you later, goodbye, and it's never there. Watch the next movie you watch and they're on the phone. They just end the conversation.
The other person needs to understand they got shit to do. They don't have time to talk to me.
Or what about like the space-time continuum where you've got our hero that's you're there, you're watching him interact with somebody else. He gets a call saying, "Hey man, you need to check the news," and then he turns on the TV, and then all of a sudden it's now in our next story, Joe Schmo is wanted for murder of his boss.
Or it's like that whole sci-fi thing, and Prometheus did this, but so many movies have done it before, of characters taking off their helmets because they think that the air is breathable for whatever dumb fucking reason. They think it's breathable. I mean, there could be one particle in a million of a poisonous gas or a bacteria that would kill them in minutes. But one guy takes it off, takes a good deep breath, doesn't keel over immediately. And so everybody else is like, well, this is a great idea. And they all follow suit. Come on, people. Don't be dumb.
Well, and they're smart enough to get from one planet to another planet gazillions of miles away, but they can't figure out the consistency of the atmosphere to whether they can breathe it or not.
Before they land? Yeah.
Before they land or even while they're walking around.
Did you guys see Galaxy Quest where they address that in a funny way? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, but I don't remember it.
I don't remember that.
Is the air breathable? He goes, seems good. It's just like, I don't know.
Oh, man. There's so many of them. There's so many stupid-ass cliches that are out there these days. And I guess it's dispensing the villain, not dispersing.
They just hand him out. You get a villain, and you get a villain, and you get a villain.
Who's got the evil Pez dispenser? Okay, pop the head, get a villain.
That's what I call it when I fart. Dispersing the villain.
All right. Any other last ones before we wrap up?
My head hurts.
Why is it no man grows facial hair when he's been in the jungle or the desert?
He only gets stubble.
It's like nobody has to carry a razor or nothing. They just, they're stranded out there, but yet they still got clean shaven skin.
There's no 6 o'clock in the jungle. It's only 5 o'clock.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, if anybody has any clever ones they want to send us, we'll read them on the air. At feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. It's feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Time to wrap the show up, guys. Next week, we're going to look at the upcoming Dark Knight Rises, and we're going to have a review of Savages for you. So come back next week. You can always find us at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Stick to the credits. You might hear some outtakes at the end.
Were you doing Billy D. Williams again?
I hope they don't.
I could. You can always find us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider. Email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Tell your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Zune, Google Reader. Listen on your Stitcher radio app. And if you do not have Stitcher, use the link in the show notes and add the code OUTSIDER for a chance to win $100. And you can also find us on any plain old RSS feed. I want to thank the podcasters. This has been an off-the-rails fucking show. And I apologize because I might be going away for some time, apparently.
You're missing some good outtakes. Let's just say that.
Wow. A lot of the stuff we can't even put in the outtakes. That's how bad it was. Brian Williams, thanks for being here, B. He's available on Twitter at BrianWMS.
I just want it for the record that neither myself nor Justin McCumber nor Scott Clark knew of Aaron's intentions earlier. It was purely dropped on us without any warning. We would have completely talked him out of it if we knew beforehand. So
fair enough.
Don't blame us.
Don't blame us.
Scotty Clark, thanks Scotty for being here. He's available on Twitter at Scotty Lindsay. Thanks, Scott.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Justin McCumber, who's the host of the Dead Robot Society. It's a weekly podcast for aspiring writers, available at deadrobotsociety.com. Thanks for being here again, Justin.
All right.
All right. And I do that like Billy D. Williams, don't I? Haywire is available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, and on your Kindle or Nook, as well as Audible.com.
That's right.
And there is a new Dead Robot Society collection of stories called
Explorers Beyond the Horizon.
That's available at Amazon as well. So be sure to check that out. Okay. Well, with that, we are the Hollywood Outsider. Come back next week for more. And remember, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn. And call your parole officer.
And keep your children out of theaters, dear Aaron.
Decision for me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. And you're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can. And all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home.
promise you, the Hollywood Outcast runs so much smoother than this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. None of this, 1 hour later, we're finally getting started.
We should see if that's taken, and we can start a second one.
It's everybody but Aaron. He's the Hollywood
It'd still be the whole.
It would.
Just all bitching about Aaron.
Just don't tell me. And somebody work. Did you hear that Hollywood Outcast?
Do you hear yourself
podcast?
in your head?
That's an excellent point, Justin. But you know what Aaron would have said in that case?
I got too much shit going on to put the effort into it. I'm lazy.
I can't do it.
Why do you look like you're blowing a guy when you do that?
That's how I do it.
That's how you blow a guy? You just, you're doing it wrong.
I watched American Beauty today while I was giving blood. I went and watched that movie and
What the fuck does that mean?
what?
Well,
There's
after
a-
the
there's
whole
a
blow
phrase
of
you
Aaron,
don't-
all of a sudden he's like giving. I was supposed to say giving head.
I was watching this while I was giving head. One eye on, one eye off.
Look in
One eye
the
on the
look in the
balls,
blue
one eye-
diamond. Look in the blue diamond. She was under 18 when she did that.
Oh no, I did not know that.
Yep, her parents actually gave permission for her to do a nude scene.
Oof. Oh, thank God for her parents.
I know.
Be so open. If only Chloe Moritz's parents would be so full of you. Now we got two pedos on the show.
I wasn't saying like Brian was saying. I'm just saying she's
Hey, look, dude, don't fight it. You're just going to make their case more. I'm telling you.
Oh boy, here we go.
Let's go.
Fucking cocksucker. God,
You'd have fucked it up anyway, and you know it's not bitching. It's
probably.
probably true. We're saving it right now.
Let's go.
All right. Come on. Sorry, I muted it while I was typing, so it took me a second to get back to it. So, because I didn't want you going, well, who's all that banging over there?
That's a remarkably close impression.
Wowie zowie.
Oh shit.
Oh wee yo.
Ooh.
Oh, we got the time over here. Between the pedophilia and the racism. I don't know if I can afford to be associated with this podcast anymore.
You know, Justin, maybe we ought to bump up that time frame a little bit to
Yeah.
get out while we still can.